Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is another unscripted auction review. Today we're looking at another 2000 Jeep Cherokee. This one is a classic, which was the second to highest trim level in 2000. It's on Bring a Trailer with a couple days to go, currently at $5,000. Let's see here. From the hero image, I'm seeing aftermarket headlights, aftermarket fog lights, two things I don't particularly like to see, but easy enough to correct. Hard to say if this actually had factory fog lights or if somebody just cut out the little plugs for them there. But otherwise I'm seeing appears to be a pretty much unmodified vehicle. This is my first time looking at this, even though the auction's been up for a few days, but let's see here. It is in New York, 136,000 miles. This, still 5,000 miles a year, give or take, for a little more than that, I guess, for a 25-year-old vehicle. Or a little less than that, actually. No, a little bit more. Doing some mental math here. Not a whole lot of information here. They did get the colors right, forest green, pearl, and camel cloth. Camel's somewhat unusual. They do note the headlights and fog lights are LED, and everything else here appears to be pretty uninteresting. We'll get to some of these specs in a minute. Let's see, it was acquired by the seller 2 years ago. Looks like they have included finishing the roof and inner bumper sections in body color bed liner. Not something I particularly like. Very hard to remove that. Well, not very, but certainly not easy. Looks like they also did some mechanical work like air conditioning compressor starter, window regulator, rear struts, but those are easy. Brakes, I wonder how much of the brakes. Portions of the exhaust and 2 of the fuel injectors, 2 of the 6. LED headlights and fog lights are added, as well as a receiver hitch. Otherwise, we're seeing pretty standard stuff here. Skim the photos and we'll get to skim the listing and we'll get to the photos. From the rear I am seeing that aftermarket hitch with a little step and a bunch of stickers on it, reflective. A fair amount of stickers on this, easy enough to remove. Well, we'll see what that body colored bed liner looks like, but I'm not very optimistic here. Yeah, not much more information that's useful here. They're wearing the wheels, and these are the correct Icon wheels with the darker gray, I believe they called it argent finish, and the silver lips. It was correct for the classic. The Limited's got a silver, full silver, bright silver wheel, but the same one. This was new for the 2000 model year on the classic. I personally love these wheels. I think they look great. Anyway, they're wearing Mastercraft Corsair tires, which are definitely not a high end. Looks like front pads and rotors, and 1 of the fuel lines. That is a strange place to list that. Rear brake drums, shoes, and wheel cylinders are also replaced. And the rear shock absorbers need to be replaced. I can already tell by looking at this, maybe it's just the angle, but I doubt it, that the rear springs are sagging a bit. Not uncommon, certainly given the miles. Inside, this looks good inside, actually, from first glance. The camel is quite rare. These do have the correct cloth seats on it for a classic with adjustable headrests. I am seeing what appears to be the stock cassette player. And it looks like I see a correct fog light switch. We'll get down to that, but not a lot of information here. Well, no, replacement headliner was installed in 2022. We'll see what that looks like. And the driver's window regulator was replaced. And they note some tears above the left seat adjustment controls, probably in the outside vinyl there. Dash picture, 136,000 miles, 7,000 of which under current ownership. Actually, I take that back. That appears to be an aftermarket switch. We'll get a better look in a second. Kind of hard for me to see. Under hood, I'm seeing some red wires have been added here. I don't know what, or a red wire, I should say. I don't know what that is. Looks like it goes all the way to the positive in the on the battery there. Engine bay is pretty clean. I do see a little bit of rust right at the front here where this is an exposed metal. No ABS on this one. I'm sure we'll get better pictures. Let's see, they replaced the starter, the compressor, and 2 of the fuel injectors. That's so strange. And the thermostat. And an oil change was done not too long ago. Underneath here, yeah, we're seeing a lot of spray-on undercoating, which is not on the leaf springs there, which are quite rusty. Well, I mean, a little bit. So they've obviously masked some of that off. I'm sure we'll get a better look here. At least I hope so. It's not a great photo, but never something I really want to see, but this vehicle is in New York. Do see some rust forming for sure in the rockers. And this part here notes that it has a command track system. That was the base, the 231 transfer case with part-time 4-wheel drive. Exhaust components installed in 2022. Let's click on this Carfax. Let's see, I'll start at the top here. 5 records, 6 owners, corporate and personal. A lot of these were used as corporate vehicles, especially the classics for whatever reason. A lot of them were rentals. This one does not appear to be. And a lot of them were corporate, which usually means a salesperson, that kind of a position might have had one. First owner was in Michigan. That's the Detroit area. And they put almost 40,000 miles on it in 3 years. Yeah, right, 3 years right on the dot. And it was a fleet vehicle of some sort. So yeah, this is probably, given the miles was, I mean, it's not super high, but was probably a sales or something like that. It briefly ended up in dealership inventory in Denver before going back to Livonia. Although this might be just, yeah, correction to record, so I think it did end up in Colorado. Let's see here. Yeah, here it is. It's registered in Boulder with its second owner. Michigan, obviously, not a good place for rust. Colorado, far better. Much drier climate. Much less salt on the roads. You know, still not perfect. Not. I mean, the best climates are Southern California or the Bay Area, but still not bad. Didn't stay in Boulder very long though. They put about 15,000. Well, hard to say how many miles they put on it. But then it ends up in New Jersey. Yeah, so they put almost 22,000 miles on it. New Jersey. This is probably a dealer. This is probably passed around between dealer at some point, is my guess. I don't know. It does say personal, but either way, a lot of bouncing around here. Let's get to the more recent stuff. Some services done in Massachusetts, which is even worse than New Jersey for rust. A lot of these New Jersey vehicles, just because of they were commuters into the city, they may not put a lot of miles on. That's not unusual. It looks like it ended up at a Toyota dealer in 2018, and here it is in New York. I'm not sure where Pelham is. Pelham, I think that's really close to New York City though. But anyway, it was there with the current owner. And no service records noted here. So really nothing service to note here. We'll see if there's some receipts in the gallery. There's one video of a cold start. All right, we have not many photos. 81, which is easy for a video, but... All right, let's see here. Badges are all in the right spots. It is kind of funny to see the classic badge look like it's sticking up, but that is correct. Definitely those aftermarket fog lights. I can now see, now that I look a little bit closer, the front bumper is textured, which is just weird. It's not pretty. Neither of these headlights. They're just hideous. Aftermarket headlights are just awful. They're just universally bad, unless they're a good brand. And I'm sure these are not. A couple of, probably like a beach sticker or something like that, or a city sticker. I don't know what those are. Side view actually looks pretty good. Paint looks pretty uniform. These are definitely not great photos, but the front fender might be a little darker than the rest of it, but it might also just be the photo. Yeah, I think it's just the photo. It looks fine here. Different light. It is actually nice to see it in different light, but not ideal. That's kind of a blurry one. Not great photos here. Definitely not great. It looks like it's got a dealership badge from something Motors. I can't read it, in Buffalo, which is a very bad place for rust. Maybe Pelham is near there. Pelham, however you say it. Either way, very bad. Oh yeah, it's RLP Motors right here. Buffalo, New York. It's on the frame too. Yeah, not a good sign there. But the badges are in the right spot. I'm not seeing any obvious evidence of paintwork here, other than, the bumpers, and I'm sure we'll get to the roof in a minute. Rear bumper also painted. Not uncommon to see a rear bumper that's been painted. This one's got one little dent in it too. It's just strange to see bedliner used. Let's see. It looks pretty good from this angle. Again, kind of lousy angles. Looks like a nice neighborhood. Nice and lush. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty lousy photos. Definitely can see the roof. It looks just faded or dirty, but it apparently is. Wow, that's a terrible photo. And some horrible fog lights. Those are really bad. Let's see here. The Jeep badge on the header looks good. Actually, I mean, other than the paint on the roof, it's actually nice. If they hadn't painted that, it just looks horrible. To each their own. To each their own. But otherwise, the paint is nice and shiny. It really is. Again, not great photos, but got some more close-ups here. I don't even really see any dents in it. Again, these are... Ooh, that roof. See the little bit of rust forming right here on the... whoops. Can I zoom in on that? On the lip of the tailgate. This is a very common area, and I think it's just because the paint was a little bit thinner there, and it probably gets brushed with dust and dirt. That slowly whittles it away. Not a hard fix. You could just paint the top of the tailgate and blend that pretty easily, I would think. Roof rack cross rails are there, of course. We are missing the strips that should go here, the rubberized black strips. There's that tire. Again, not a great tire. A couple little scuffs in the wheel, but not bad. Not all the corrosion we often see from cold weather climate. Yeah, Mastercraft I think it's a step above the true junk brands, but it's definitely not a high-end tire. Looks like they've got a bit of tread. Man, decent tread. All right, inside we've got the camel door panel. Looks pretty nice actually. No infinity sound, which we did see the cassette player before. I was trying to look here. Hopefully we get better pictures of the little pinches here, because this is a very common place for us. This actually looks great from here. Here's the driver's seat. It is the power driver's seat. That was an option on the Classics. Somewhat unusual to see, especially given there's not a whole lot of other options here. It does have cruise control, also an option. This is extremely common, this vinyl tearing right here. Otherwise, the upholstery looks really nice, and this is a couple $100 to have that replaced. Not a challenge. Carpets are a little dirty. Looks like there might have been some floor mats that have been pulled. We'll see if we get those. All right, so the passenger door, I do see some rust forming there. I would definitely want to see better pictures underneath the bottom of that door. See if we get any. This looks good over here. Carpet's a little cleaner on this side. Still a little dirty, but not bad. Some marks on the seatbelt. It's where it gets caught by the hinge here. We still have the remnants of the original factory seatbelt adjustment sticker. It's kind of funny. Oh, we also have the overhead console. I don't think I saw that noted previously. That was also an option. But anyway, these stickers are these 95% of people tore off, but you do still see them every once in a while. It always makes me chuckle. It's the things that make you chuckle. All right, so we are the dash. That is a factory fog light switch. This probably was a factory fog light vehicle that someone's wired in some aftermarket ones, which don't look good, but to each their own. Factory cassette player. This is not the upgrade. It's a weird spec for a company vehicle. They usually added ABS, full-size spare. They usually did not add. I mean, this car has no ABS, but does have the overhead console. It's just an odd spec. But who knows? It also could have just been, somebody who bought it right off the lot and says and registered it to their company. Anything like that. Some marks on the center stack here, just probably where someone's rested their hand and adjusted the volume. Amazing that cassette players lasted that long. I mean, not that they are problematic, but usually people have replaced them by now, because that's a very basic radio. I do see, you guys may not be able to see it very well. Hopefully that helps. Some slush mats of some sort. Bit of rust on some of the door check and the little peg for the overhead lights. I see a Fuyao windshield here, aftermarket, not surprising, as well as a spider web. Personally, I don't like these blade wiper, or beam, whatever they call them, wiper blades. They just don't work as well on cars that weren't designed for them. They just seem to kind of get caught and never seem to fit like they should. Back seat actually looks great. I mean, doesn't look like it was really sat in at all. It does have the factory ashtray back here. Of course, they all have that, but this gray is correct, even though it's the camel interior. They only did those in one color. I'm sure it's just a cost-cutting move. A couple little, this might just be dirt back here. There's that overhead console. The headliner actually looks quite good. Somebody's Easy Pass. Maybe you get free tolls. I doubt it. It's got the rear speakers intact. It looks like the light needs to be pushed back in, maybe. Hard to say. This is a nice photo, at least in terms of the area, but it looks good in here. It's got the mini spare. It doesn't have the full-size spare. Just unusual options to have the overhead console and the power seat, but really nothing, and the fog lights, but really nothing else. That's the wiring, I'm sure, for the trailer hitch. This bump stop is, you can buy these. That one looks like a mushroom. Under hood, what do we see here? So this is probably the fog lights, something to do with these. And it doesn't actually look like it's wired in at the battery. I take that back. It actually looks, for a northern vehicle, actually looks really good under here. Often you see just totally crusty everywhere, all the exposed metal. It's really not that bad. A little bit, but given the climate, it's not bad. Odd that they replaced two fuel injectors. One was right here. That's a new one. I can't tell which one. I can tell by the blue rubber seal there. I think it said the brake fluid had been replaced, although it looks dark. Coolant looks like it's a bit low. A little bit low. Is that same photo we had before? I think. I mean, it's a bad photo, but yeah, it's definitely some bubbling going on in the rocker here, which was not obvious before. Not a good sign. That is not good. It will only get worse. Here we've got a random picture of the VIN that just showed up. I don't know. It seems Okay, here we. All right, so I think what's happened here is the seller has added some photos. So I'm gonna go slower because we still have 25 to go. That's just one of the panel VINs. I don't know which one. I'd like to see all of them. We have one factory key, one factory remote, and maybe another factory key. Can't tell if it's factory aftermarket. Plus the owner's manual. A very bad photo. All right, we've got some receipts. This was actually the dealership that had it. Oh, there's that RLP Motors. This might have been prior to the person who bought it. It looks like, yeah, they painted the roof. It might say coolant system flushed. New AC compressor, new muffler, and tailpipe. We didn't really get a good look at that. The strange thing is it says new Goodyear Wrangler tires. But those are definitely not on it. New rotors and pads, new headlights and fog lights. So I think a lot of this was done by this dealership before the person bought it. Yeah, breakdown of all major work done while reconditioning an RLP Motors. To be honest, their pricing is really not that bad for a dealership. $150 for rotors and pads is, by car dealership standards, really not that expensive. Nothing really worrisome here, other than the Goodyears are not having the Goodyear tires is weird. $100 a piece is very cheap for tires, which sounds like Mastercraft Corsair tires pricing. A starter was put in March of 2022, just about 2,000 miles after it looks like they got it. Simple enough. They also did the rear brakes at that point, just all and some lug nuts. Needs rear shocks. I hope we get better underbody photos. Passed its inspection, emissions inspection in 2023. There's a terrible photo of what are we looking at here? Oh, I guess some sort of a small battery. Oh, a thermostat gasket. So the owner might have replaced the thermostat. There's another emissions inspection. Wow, this person just wadded up their receipts. An oil filter and oil. Nothing's. All right, we do have better underbody photos. We still have another 16 photos to go here. The exhaust is quite rusty back here, so I don't know. Yeah, but the muffler up here looks clean. So it's a center section. It looks like was redone. Somebody has sprayed a lot of underliner here because this should not be chipping off. It shouldn't even be painted, the fuel tank. Not uncommon given the climate, but just be aware there is rust lurking under this. I can guarantee it. They did a better job masking some of it off because at least the transfer case isn't coated in it. And we can see the leaf springs are not coated. It's unusual. And it looks like they just missed a section of the axle here. This is the Chrysler 8 1/4, which would be a challenge to remove that fill cap easily. Clearly has not been done. The rear shocks have been painted on, and the bushings around them, I don't know if that's the bushing or if that's just the coating. Either way, it's gross. Needs to go. Oh, we can see some rust starting to form at some of the seams here for sure. I've seen worse, for sure. And I suspect that just the limited use in New York probably, and it's, I don't know, what, 15 to 20,000 miles, whatever it was, living in Colorado at least, helped it fare better than your typical Michigan, New York, New Jersey vehicle. But just the fact that it probably wasn't used daily in New Jersey helped. Yeah, it's just an underside coating, which they did spray some of it on the transfer case here, but not unexpected. There's a transmission. It looks like somebody's dried it off with a rag. Handful more photos. Actually, the seller did a decent job with photos here. This is quite rusty under here, the spring seat. Nothing debilitating. Oil sump is a little wet. That's rear main seal, almost certainly dripping down there. Not uncommon given the miles. Front shocks are stock. I could see them in one of the previous photos there. Part of a finger. I mean, this has all been painted, so I'm ignoring the fact that everything's not rusty, because I'm sure it's rusty, but everything actually looks all right. That's useless. Oh no, this is the door jam. Now I see. Thought that was under the bumper. No, this is the front. I have no idea. Probably guessing the front passengers, or maybe it might be the rear door. Oh no, it's the. These are horrible photos. Get a camera. They're totally blurry. They're just useless. There's definitely some rust here. I don't know which door that is. Yikes, terrible photos. All right, well, that's it. And that concludes our auction review here in In conclusion, is if you live in a northern climate and want one just to drive and enjoy this, I mean, it's only $5,000 so far. 2 days to go. It could skyrocket up. I doubt it's going to sell for much more than 7 or 8, but it's at least a decent looking XJ if you can get over that paint on the roof. It's a somewhat rare and appealing color combination, largely unmodified. I'd stick some stock headlights on it and find some stock fog lights and just drive it. It's not a collector car by any means, but I don't see anything particularly worrisome here. No real signs of collision, and like I said, definitely some rust going on under there, but nothing that needs to be addressed immediately if you're going to use it in this climate. All right, as always, thanks a lot for watching this. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It's really important you subscribe to these videos so you don't miss my latest updates. I'm trying to focus a little bit more on Cherokees. They seem to do well. I've gotten some messages from people talking about liking these. Just trying to share my knowledge. All right, I will put the selling price at the end of this video. Thanks a lot.